Hi, everyone. Hi, Katy. Welcome.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. How's everyone doing in the comments? Happy Monday. Oh, thank God it's Monday. I don't know. No, thank God it's Fridays. So you're welcome to Interro Talk, where we talk about interrogations of certain individuals who may or may not be charged with crimes. And we've been working on the 5+ hour interrogation of Wendi Adelson. And if you don't know who she is, let us know in the comments. And by the way, if there's any point that you would like us to pause, hi Z Storage, if there's any point where you would like us to pause, because Katy tells me when to pause in the video. I've been through these videos, this video a few times, 5 hours. But Katy, this is her first time, and it may be your first time. So if you want to mention anything that you would like us to pause on, if we missed it, or if you would just like to share in the live chat what you're seeing, then feel free. So, Katy, are you excited to get back to the interrogation today?
Yeah, I am. Did
What
anything come
happens
up
next?
with Katy?
No news yet. No news
Nothing.
yet. And it probably will
Okay.
be quiet for a while, I would imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people just like thinking, okay, she could just blow everything up in a lot of ways. She could maybe refute what Luis Rivera had testified to, or maybe she could open some things up. We have no idea. We don't know. We're just guessing, and that's why we're here, because it's fun. And I had someone comment last night, and I mentioned a few times on here that I don't love to only mention perpetrators or accused, or those who may or may not be part of a crime. I like to talk about the victim, or at least bring the victim and victims, because it's the whole family and the community around the person who was lost. In this case, he was murdered. But we really are talking about the perpetrators. So let's not get that twisted.
Yes.
So, and it was a really good point, and so thank you for that comment. And and also thank you to all my new subscribers. This is a fairly new show, and we're already at 300 subscribers.
Whoa.
So, yay.
Congrats. Yay.
Congrats to you, Katy. Everyone loves you.
It's all because of you, Dawn.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're gonna talk. We left off at 5:45 p.m. Eastern time. That's Tallahassee time, and this is July 18th, 2014. It's the very day that Dan Markel sadly was shot twice in the head. And the person that the police brought in to question and let's say interview was Wendi Adelson at this time, his ex-wife. And boy, she is chatty. Isn't she chatty?
Yeah.
Chatty Kathy. So it's a 5-hour interview, and we're more than halfway through. We planned on doing this in episodes where we cover about 30 minutes each. So it's going to be at least 10 episodes. So we're at 5:45. Jane had entered the picture by way of memory reminder, and also that they started chatting about Jeffrey LaCasse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is he?
So if you aren't familiar with the case, which Katy isn't, which is why this is so much fun, extra fun, and I should say interesting too, is that she's not familiar. So Jeffrey was dating Wendi at the time leading up to Dan's murder. But like getting a sore throat so she couldn't talk to Dan and making other excuses, she told Jeffrey she needed a week off of their relationship the week previous to the murder. So she was kind of insulating herself. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's not. What do you think?
It's a little convenient.
Kind of convenient, but she had time to talk to Jane all week, go for
Yep.
walks, and evidently her throat wasn't that sore, and it was miraculously cured so she could speak continuously for over 5 hours on July 14th. Excuse me, 18th. Excuse me, July 18th. Gosh, okay. Hi, go Georgia. Hello. So we're going to get started. Let's see where we left off. I think at this point we're at 5:45. Oops. And hopefully you're not hearing Tosh in the background because she found a bug and she is making a lot of noise. And I won't let her out right now because the landscapers are working. Okay, let me go ahead and share the screen. You know, a whole week passes by and I forget what I'm doing here. It's like, okay, yeah, let's share the screen. All right. So, and let me also make sure we're not sped up. All right. Okay.
What are we doing? I saw that one from Kara. If you need to call her, you can. You're not being held hostage.
So when Jane was out, Wendy just helped herself to Jane's phone. Oops. Trying to make this bigger.
So what we're in the process right now, and to do that, generally we have to some of the telegraph that we send to the other agency, kind of giving the information on who to make contact. It's very old school as we were starting working here.
I know that it's not like, well, I don't know what's happening right now, but like as a little bit ago, it wasn't definitive. Do they want to wait until it's definitive, or do they want him to like?
They want to get in contact with them because I think some decisions need to be made, and because they're his parents, they would be his next of kin.
Okay, so again, by way of review, this is kind of where we left off, and this is the victim advocate, not an detective. And they're just Wendy is suggesting that maybe they shouldn't tell Dan's parents until it's definitive. In other words, until they know he's no longer struggling to live in the hospital alone. Kind of odd. I would think, for me personally, let me know what you think, everyone. But for me personally, if I knew somebody was alone and they were still alive, that would be more urgent to get in touch with their loved ones.
Didn't we kind of say, though, that maybe she's like holding off because as soon as they talk to the parents will say, look at his ex?
Right.
Like the second that they say.
She said right here in the interview in previous, yes, as you mentioned, Katie, she said they're going to think it was me.
Yeah.
When she was told, referring to Dan's parents, her in-laws, that when she found out Dan was shot, Wendy said, they're going to think it was me. Kind of odd. Right. So maybe you're right. So maybe this was just more of her trying to put off the inevitable and get out of town before they thought maybe it was her.
Right.
So he's still alive, but he's maybe on life support or some such thing.
I don't know the medical terms around it, but it's from what Investor Isom was telling her, it does not look.
He was shot in the head.
From what was it? Investor Isom?
I said that and he didn't answer it.
So
he was shot in the head, again, by way of review.
Yeah. I said that, not him.
Right. So evidently she knew.
it's just he was very badly shot multiple times, maybe badly.
When I think he did say that there was trauma to his face. And that's when you were asking about showing the boy.
I wanted the kids to be with him, but not if he looks scary.
And not if he's, I mean, there's nothing to be.
I know, I just thought he might be like,
no, I know.
I got the feeling he might be a little bit alive. Right. And if he was a little bit alive, I wanted him to like touch the kids one more time.
Right, but he's apparently beyond that. Like he probably.
So this is pretty creepy because if the state of Florida prosecutor's office is correct that she was part of a conspiracy to have this murder happen, let's just say if that's true, and they certainly think so, and her brother's already been arrested, then isn't this really quite awful? Is he a little bit alive?
Yeah, that's such a
Can
weird.
you imagine?
Yeah, it's like I'm just a little bit pregnant. Sorry. You're either pregnant or you're not. You're either dead or you're not. Right? You're either alive or you're not. So what is that? A little bit alive?
Real scientific terms there from a highly educated woman too. She's so educated and smart, right? Like,
and where was this concern 3 hours ago? Right.
Yeah, she's letting down her guard a little because her friend's there and the detective is not in the room.
Right.
From what Investor Isom said, correct, yes. From what he was saying, I wouldn't.
He was found in a really dreadful state, and he has not come out of any kind of. He ended that phase. Oh, what good Lord! Have you called your parents, darling?
No, after we're just
Did she call her parents?
They have
I don't see, they have her phone.
But
Yeah,
I
know
their number.
I do know my family's number.
I don't
Know the answer?
I don't know that, I don't want to say yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm
but
gonna go to the bathroom and come back. Do you need to my suspect? You need to watch
no,
me?
no, I don't need to watch you.
Okay, I'll be back.
What I'll do too is I'll just check and see if you can call your
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Again, I don't see any issue with it.
I just think they're gonna want to come up.
Well, and you're gonna want them here. Honey.
Yeah.
So they
I want
need to.
them.
They need to get in the car and right now, and they need to come up.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what needs to happen. Because they can stay with you at your house.
And they can
We
help me
can
with the
we
boys.
just try to figure out if you're safe to be in the house.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm distracted. My cat is still meowing. All right, so she's using the restroom, and again, for the 20th time, she needed reassurance as to whether or not she was a suspect. And
Yes.
was she free to use the bathroom, even though she's been told many, many times she wasn't a suspect? Probably, actually, that's probably one of the most intelligent things that she's done, because as you well know, the police can tell you all kinds of things. So.
Hey, it's me. So I'm just updating you. Danny is expected to die.
This is Jane speaking. Can you hear her?
And yeah, who's she talking to?
She must have made a phone call. And by the way, I didn't point this out on the last segment, but did you notice how Wendi and Jane were whispering to each other? Their voices went way, way down when I believe when they were alone. They were very whispery. It's so Jane's awareness of the situation that they're in is pretty. That's why I was thinking, Jane, I wonder what she knew and didn't know.
Sure.
It's just, you just got to wonder. So yeah, they lowered her voice. So evidently, even though she's off the camera here and she knows well enough to be outside of the cameras of the lens.
Yep. She's
making this phone call. She's speaking in low tones and probably to her husband. And she said, yeah. Carrie B, hello. Thanks for the kisses. Wow, intertwining the I need to use the bathroom with did you need to watch me? I'm a suspect. So sus.
Yeah.
And of course, Go Georgia points out, of course, Dan would have known why he was shot and who was responsible. He would have at least been able to give a description if he was able to speak. And pointing out that, of course, Go Georgia, if she's scared, if alive, he will talk. And this is why I was saying there are a lot of reasons Wendi could have legitimately been crying and nervous. Heck yeah. She is a named conspirator. So, all right. And Rochelle says, I can't wait for the day Georgia, she's talking about Georgia Cappleman, the prosecutor, goes after Wendi on the stand with the goods. And Go Georgia asks says that it would be interesting if Sarah, this victim advocate here, gets called to testify. Not sure unless she heard something beyond what was captured. And hi, peoples. Thanks for the kisses. And hi. Okay, let's keep going. This is getting juicy.
Give it to yourself. I know that you're.
Again, Jane's on the phone.
Yeah, no, he's right. No, he's Wendi. Of course, I mean they've been interviewing her as a suspect, and I have suggested Jeff LaCasse.
I have suggested Jeff LaCasse. She's telling her husband.
Get a rabbi over there because he's alone. He doesn't have family here. This is really terrible. This is really terrible.
And she also brings
There's
up,
nothing you can do.
she's also bringing up that Danny is alone in the hospital. Very concerned about that, which most normal human beings would be.
Right.
Wendy's got, they brought me here to get the kids, but I thought, God, the poor children, they won't know me. And actually, it's probably better that I'm, here with Wendi. I'm sitting here with the victim.
So here's the other thing, just a point a lot of people are aware of that bring up once in a while. They brought her, Jane, to pick up the kids, but then all of a sudden she wasn't the right person.
Mm-hmm.
So Wendi gets to keep her basically in the room as a support figure. So
Do you think that maybe Jane did that because she's like, man, it's probably not a good idea if you're sitting alone in a room, nobody's there to tell you not to talk?
Well, you would think she'd be.
And she is a lawyer, so she would have, but.
Well, Jane is a psychologist or a social worker of some sort, so I'm guessing she's a psychologist. But yeah, Wendy's a lawyer, so yeah, Jane. Hi, Lorenzo. Lorenzo, go Pack, go. All right.
I'm advocate, not the investigator, and I'm going to get off the phone. Mm-hmm. I will. All right. I don't.
Okay, so she's over there in the bottom corner. You can see her hand.
Coming up here.
I'll get out of your way.
It's time to go.
Okay.
We got
I appreciate you coming up here. It's time to go. This is Detective Isom over outside of the shop.
Yeah.
So they realized that, okay, so she's not going to pick up the kids. What's she doing in here?
some more stuff we have to take care
Yeah.
of. But I really appreciate you coming up here and talking to her. And
And I've suggested to you that you look at Jeff LaCasse.
that's what Sarah was saying. I'm not sure who that guy is,
Well,
but
she'll tell you about it. And
is she gonna tell me everything?
I imagine she will. I mean, she's been Danny's a jealous guy, Jeff is a jealous
Okay.
guy.
All right.
That as a social worker, I would
Okay.
be.
Well, let me ask you this.
And look at her
Jeff is
hands.
the new guy, why would he feel it?
Just because this is something I wouldn't say in front of Wendi.
Okay.
I thought you said it's something I wouldn't say. I'm like, I'm right here.
As doing the kind of work I do, I would think, there's this person and then he loves Wendi. Danny makes Wendy's life very difficult. Wendi is currently making his life very difficult. I don't know him to be a lunatic, but he's a jealous guy.
Okay. All right.
That's what I
That's
would
very
say. He's my colleague, so he's somebody I think of as a decent guy.
That would be who now?
Jeff LaCasse is my
Okay.
colleague.
Okay. All right.
Are you leaving?
Yes, I'm being kicked out.
Oh, really?
Really. But I can come get you if you need me.
Okay.
Okay? So if you can't drive, it's no problem.
What's your number, James?
I haven't mentioned this in the interview yet either, but people who have been watching her, especially on the stand, you can actually see her, the way she stares and gazes into people's eyes. You can see her crane her neck to do the, really? You're being kicked out? She does this like thing where her head is floating in water and she stares the whole time and she makes baby faces and she does baby faces with her mouth. I don't have her lips, but it's incredible. The baby, I can actually see her more clearly doing it with Jane here, but she's been doing it all along. So it's hard to see because this is grainy video, obviously. And by the way, Jane has labeled Jeffrey LaCasse as jealous. Jeffrey LaCasse, we'll find out later why he might legitimately be jealous. Because kind of when people are dating or married to someone, they don't expect them to be dating other people.
So I can give you a call.
321-4657.
I don't call that jealous.
I'm happy to come get you. I'm happy to come get you. You need to talk to these guys.
Can you make sure someone goes to see Danny? I guess they're gonna do
You're
that.
gonna
That's
do
not
that,
your
right?
job.
You're gonna make sure that there's
I know Sergeant Baldwin, when I was out there, I've been talking to her when you
It's
were
really
arrested, they were
critical
working
that
on that.
that he be blessed today.
Oh,
It's absolutely
okay.
critical
Gotcha.
that he see
Okay.
that a rabbi go there. Absolutely critical.
All
Okay,
Alright,
bye. Thank you for coming.
Okay, I am available.
So the whole idea that somebody needs to be with Danny now is important because Jane, and this is how people who really aren't capable of normal human emotions learn how to pretend like they have normal human emotions by mimicking. I'm not sure if she's doing that or not, but I'm saying.
And Jane is pulling like the mother figure right now.
Yes,
Okay.
and it evidently has believed everything Wendi has said about the men in her life and which friends do with each other.
Going now, but you know,
Yeah.
this is a process, and you're gonna move through it. Thank
Okay.
you. I'm glad. Thanks very much. And these guys were very generous.
Also, sorry, pause.
Thanks very much.
I just noticed the difference in their outfits. Like, look at how well put together Jane is.
Right.
And then look at Wendi. And Wendi was the one who was out for lunch with her friends.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Wendi is her police photograph from this day is not attractive. She's a wrinkled, disheveled mess. She still has her sunglasses on her head.
Yeah.
Right now.
For 3 hours.
Maybe it's a Florida thing. I'm not sure.
I'll be back.
Georgia life? What do you mean by life, Georgia? Go, Georgia.
I'll just
Go,
ask you
Georgia.
some more questions, and I just need to, you know, they don't, and sometimes, you know what, friends and family try to help, but sometimes they
No, it was good that you
tell
called
their
it
side,
that.
or, yeah, and that was good. I'm sorry, it's so cold in here, and I was irresponsible and offer you a jacket
I'm
sooner.
not sure if it's cold in here. I was like shaking from the moment the officers came into the restaurant and
Boom.
were like not
Right, that's
telling
not
me
a
what
normal
was going.
Boom. Okay.
Why would you start shaking when you have no idea what's going on?
Well, and not only that, but let's just say she is. A lot of her crying, you know, which again, at first pass of this video, when I first saw it, I was like, well, that's weird. But she's got a lot of things to be crying about. And I wouldn't even doubt that she might feel somewhat badly even about Danny, even though she might have been part of it, because people are complex individuals. And yes, go Georgia. What were you saying about life? Go Georgia. And go Georgia. Yes, Tallahassee lunch is casual shorts and t-shirt. Yeah, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I would put myself somewhat together, even with, because I live in Southern California. It's similar, but still, I mean, at least some lipstick. But that's just me.
I didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't good, and so I feel like my body started shaking a few hours ago. I don't know if I'm actually cold, but thank you for the jacket.
Well, it's generally, I don't have goosebumps yet, but usually I get goosebumps in this room, so it might be warmer than normal, but I think nerves. And then they said that they should be done with your phone very soon too, and then that's when.
Will they just sort of, can I get an update from like, I just want to make sure the kids are not freaking out. Like, I don't know what Lynn told them, and I trust her very much, but like, is there any way to just get an update on my kids to make sure I know they're okay, like they're in good hands, but I don't know. I mean, just to make sure like they're not being told like
Too much information at once.
Yeah, or just like, where's mommy? I would like them to say like, mommy's at a work meeting or something.
Okay.
Like, just something that the kids would understand. Like, sometimes mommy's at work, so they get the idea of like,
Okay.
I mean, they would wonder why is mommy at work at this hour, but something.
Okay. Let me check on that, okay?
I'm not trying to create more work for you.
You're not creating more. This is
Yes, you
kind of what
are.
I'm here for right now. Exactly what I'm
I
here
would
for,
guess
okay?
she was creating some more work. I'm going to go speed it up here.
Well, and a 5-year-old and 3-year-old don't have concept of time. So
Yeah,
that
she
was a
just-
weird,
Yeah.
no, why would mommy be at work this late? A
Well,
5-year-old
they've
would
already-
never even think that.
Yeah, and they've already discussed that, what was going to be told to the children. She just spoke to the school, even though it was last Monday. In reality time, it was only 10 minutes ago that she spoke to the school. So,
Right.
The fact that she said, I'm not trying to create more work for you, makes me think, oh, she's trying to create more work. That's just how I think, but it could be wrong. I could be wrong. What do you think, everyone? I'm dying to know what Go Georgia's saying about life. Okay, let's see. So he wants her out of the Detective Isom wants Jane out of the room, and he wants to talk about this Jeffrey LaCasse situation. Okay. So he wants to talk to Wendi without Jane about Jeffrey, and Jane isn't afraid of standing up to the detective. I saw a couple times where she kind of challenged him on things, which is, some people are more comfortable doing that, but such as he said, I couldn't tell you this, or I'm not allowed to tell you that. Like when Jane asked the detective, was anything stolen? He said, I'm not at liberty to say that. And Jane piped right back at him. I don't know if you caught this, and said, well, you told us he was in the hospital, something like that. It's like, well, and Isom said, well, that's because I can tell you things that I know for sure. Yeah. So, I hear
I'm getting kicked out.
Right. Yeah. She wasn't pleased. No. Uh-huh.
Sitting on the by myself right now is like a form of torture.
I'm sorry. I know. I keep leaving you. I don't want to.
Sitting by myself is a form of torture.
She's our special victim, and that's the other thing she does all the time. And she spoke to Lynn, and Lynn's very well aware that,
Lynn also has an MSW.
Everyone does, it seems like sometimes. So very aware
What'd
that
she
they
say?
don't know, what's going on, not to disclose.
I didn't catch that, but she said something flattering, because the victim's advocate was like, oh, I get that from my dad sometimes, like with her hair. So she must have complimented her about something while she's talking about something Wendi just a minute ago was so important to send her out of the room. Okay, T. Cancella, hello and welcome. I think Wendi sent the advocate away to have a second to think.
Yep.
I'm thinking so too, because she's not talking about that anymore. Now she's into charming the advocate. And I think she's so far said, oh, we look alike. I have that skirt and we could be sisters. And now I don't know what she said. I couldn't hear it, but it was something that was flattering. You can tell by the body language of the social worker. Oh, and David Mars, welcome. And your mom has an MSW too, Master's in Social Work. Very commendable. Very commendable. That's, yep. So, David, tell us about your mom. Is she like Jane? Do you relate to Jane because of your mom?
No, David is saying that's what Wendi just said.
Oh, thank you, David. That's
Sorry.
right. My mom also has an MSW. Okay.
Yeah, that's what she was saying to the
her
social
mom
worker.
was a teacher, but I didn't know she was a social worker. Thank you, David. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little slow sometimes. And T. Cancella says, wonder if Jane and Jeff are still co-workers and how Jane's comments have affected their relationship. Yeah. Wonder. Yeah, he's a jealous guy. Well, evidently, word had it that nobody wants to be labeled like that, even if he was slightly jealous. I mean, it goes, we don't need to say those things about people. But it's been said that Jane had been supporting Wendi throughout until recently still. So, some people, and I think we all have people like this in our lives, that it doesn't matter what you say, what evidence you give them, like this is the way it is, but they believe something else. They'll just believe it regardless of all the facts surrounding what's going on. So
I don't know what Joanne is. I mean, Lynn knows something's up and something's wrong. And I'm sure Lynn and like everyone else seems to do nowadays probably Googled or looked at the news, you know.
Thank you again.
So, and I think she does know that involves obviously David.
Because I'm here and I seem to be okay.
And then also they did get in touch
With the rabbi?
with one of the rabbis, yes.
Are they
So
going over there?
I believe so, yes.
Great.
And then if nothing else, even the hospital usually has.
Hi.
That's his cell phone number.
Okay.
I spoke with him,
Mhm.
and he's going up there.
Good.
I spoke with the hospital, and they have already had somebody come by. They have already had a rabbi come by.
Really?
Because they have
I wonder who they
chaplains.
have.
They have chaplains of all different. Denominations.
Like just on call.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of Jews in town.
I don't know, but he's calling, and that's his cell phone.
Okay.
There's not a lot
I
of
told
Jews
him you
in
would
town.
probably touch
Okay.
base and reach out to him
Honestly,
whenever. No. Okay.
I don't really have a great relationship with him.
Okay.
So he's not really who I want to talk to right
That's
now. I
fine.
just want to make sure he's
The
giving
other
Danny
rabbi
what
that
he
you gave
needs.
me is out of
So Wendi doesn't have a great relationship with this
The
rabbi
rabbi.
recommending. So that tells you something too. Come on.
the town.
I have a great relationship with him.
Okay, yeah, he's on his voicemail. It said he's out of town
I saw
until
on Facebook, he's with his grandkids.
yeah, so would be in and out.
I saw Facebook.
He was like,
he's
"Is
with
there
his
anybody else in the
grandkids.
community I need to reach out to?" I said, "As of right now,
I'm just
so
gonna take out his number to give to his parents.
She's very
Okay,
capable.
pause.
Yes, very capable of a lot of detail here. Yes.
When did she have the chance to look at Facebook to know that he's out of town? That he would be needed to be with Danny?
Well, it could have been the day before or during the week that he left town with his grandkids, and she made a mental note of
She
it,
made
and she
note of
shared
it?
it here. She's just chat. Yeah.
So weird.
She's very aware of what's going on. That is for sure. It's not distraught or incoherent.
Yeah, they would probably want to talk to the rabbi. So, I'm really glad he's going over there. I can't talk to him right now.
okay, and that's fine. And I mean, he asked about you and asked if there was anything you needed, and okay, so, and I said, well, I may have her, if she wants to reach out, and he's like, absolutely, anything, that's needed. So.
God. Thank
And
you.
No problem. And don't worry, Lynn, we spoke. She knows the children don't know what's going on.
And she
and
knows.
She knows that he was seriously injured. And that
Did she seem okay? Like, is she with
Yeah.
Alan? Are they
no,
together?
I talked with Alan.
Uh-huh.
She was out when I got him.
Okay.
Apparently he just does not answer his cell phone. He's like, let me give you my cell phone. I was like, I called it twice. So she was out somewhere. She wasn't at home when I got a hold of him.
Okay.
So he said, let me call her. I'll have her come. So she came by herself, but she had talked to him. She was fine. Cool as a cucumber.
Okay.
She's, and just for time's sake, I knew Jane was up here with you. I was going to bring her up, but it was
No,
at 5:30 getting her out to get the kids.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
knows the kids don't know anything. And it was going to be, mom's running late. Aunt Lynn, it's McDonald's time, whatever the
Okay.
case may be.
That sounds great.
All right.
Okay, now you could, just by way of comparison, as far as body language, you can see that Wendy's not engaging in this social worker. Now, there's two different victim advocates here, one on her left and one on her right. The one that she's speaking to, who's mostly off camera, she's not gazing into her eyes. She's not shoving compliments at her. She's not doing the baby look and the thing that she does with her
Yeah.
head floating around. Just by way of comparison, because you'll see how when she really wants to focus, she's like, wow. I mean, that if somebody looks at you that intent, it's the kind of look that I think I would be like, whoa. If somebody looked at me like that, I would be like,
Yep.
it's a lot of energy coming my way. And T. Cancella, just so you know, T. Cancella, Wendi, up until this point, we have a whole playlist we've been going through. We're at 6 p.m. and she got there at 2:45. And this is such a good point you make. Wendi seems to be trying to prevent Danny's parents from knowing to the extent that she can without being super obvious. She's, in fact, just recently, before you jumped on T. Cancella, she said, well, don't you think we should wait until he's dead to call them? Why, instead of calling them now? Odd, huh? Don't you think? And David Mars, is reminding us at this moment, Wendi is 72 hours away from pulling into her parents' home in South Florida, driving behind her parents, who were driving the Lexus that would soon be gifted to the now convicted killer of her former husband. Yes. Now, Katy David is not familiar with this case, so that's one of the reasons I wanted her to give her impression, because most of us know a lot about this case, but it's kind of interesting to hear what somebody says coming
Thank you.
into
No
this
problem.
without
Sorry, my face
knowledge.
is so red. I told her I was laughing because my rear end's sticking up, bending over, getting the seats. I was like, oh, I'm sure 7th Avenue is loving
Did you
this.
see all the Cheerios that are in that car?
We did. At least
I know
can be
it's
all wrapped
there.
out.
I meant to
No,
clean the car
please.
this week. Now I'm glad I didn't, because it would look like I was trying to erase a crime scene.
Well, and the funny thing was that we
Pause.
said, I don't know
Who
which
says that?
Well, if she's worried about how dirty her car is and that there's Cheerios all over the place, then that's what makes me think if she really did have lunch with her friends, okay, but she looks pretty disheveled. It seems like somebody who's concerned with appearances a little bit more too. Even with a casual lunch, even with a shorts and flip-flop lunch, who would be a little bit more concerned about how they're put together.
Yeah, and then she just said, well, I'm glad I didn't clean it because it would look like I'm covering up a crime scene. Did you hear that?
Oh, I didn't catch that. Is that what she said?
Yes. She just said, oh, I should have cleaned it earlier this week, but I'm glad I didn't now because it would look like I would be covering up a crime scene. She just said that.
Okay. See, I'm so glad you're here.
That's insane.
Let me
Who
go
says
back.
that?
Let me go back. 3:15. Where are we?
Like 10 seconds.
Okay.
And so I said, pause, because I'm like, wait, did she
really say that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again.
Okay.
So I talked with Alan. She was out when I got him.
Okay.
Apparently, he just does not answer his cell phone. He's like, "Let me."
Sorry,
give you my
everyone.
cell
I
phone.
have
was
to
like, "I
review
it." Twice. So she was out somewhere. She wasn't at home when I got
Could
a
be
hold
a
of
good
him.
clip.
So he said, "Let me call her. I'll have her come." So she came by herself, but she had talked to him. She was fine, cool as a cucumber.
Okay.
She's, and just for time's sake, I knew Jane was up here with you. I was going to bring her up, but it was at 5:30 getting her out to get the kids, and she knows the kids don't know anything, and it was going to be, mom's running late, Aunt Lynn, it's McDonald's time, whatever the case may be.
That sounds great.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I'm sorry, my face is so red. I told her I was laughing because my rear end's sticking up, bending over, getting the seats. I was like, oh, I'm sure 7th Avenue is loving
Did you
this.
see all the Cheerios that are in that car?
We did. At least
I know
can be
it's
all
there.
wrapped out.
I meant to clean the car
please.
this week. Now I'm glad I didn't, because it would look like I was trying to erase a crime scene.
Well, and the funny thing.
Okay, I meant to clean the car this week. Now I'm glad I didn't because it would look like I was trying to erase a crime scene.
That's crazy.
Wendi, what a gal. What a gal.
Ugh.
So for anyone who thinks she's just distraught and it seems like a person who's just crying, listen to her words. Listen to her words. And Go Georgia says, good one. Yeah, I did not hear that. And you know what happens is because this is how these things work. Again, this is her preemptive strikes, right? She has thought everything through.
Yeah.
She knows where the rabbi is. She knows like everything.
Yeah.
And to think that she wasn't aware or anything like that, on first impression that you might get, just listen in a little bit more. And if you don't have time to go through all these live streams, I have tons of shorts where I take little clips like this that are less than a minute, usually 30 seconds of gems, and people are really enjoying the shorts. And T. Cancella says, yeah, I can't believe she said maybe wait till his parents. Yeah, she insinuated that she didn't come out and exactly say those words, but that's exactly what she was saying.
Yeah, until it's more definitive is what she said.
And hi, okay, how do I pronounce your name? Ope Taiwo. Ope Taiwo? Sounds Japanese, maybe. Hi, I'm from the UK. I am a SW social worker. If I was interviewing her, I would definitely have my suspicion regarding Wendi. She was saying too much for someone whose ex had just been shot. Yes, she's very,
Yeah.
very, very, very chatty. And people who are guilty tend to talk more than people who aren't. I'm not saying she is or isn't, but that tends to be the case.
Thing was it we said I don't know which car seat goes to which, and when we were walking up I said, okay, I have the left, you have the right, and then we sat him down and she and I picked him up and I went, I don't remember
One
which
kid
one
is
was
short
which.
and chunky, and one kid is long and skinny.
So when they get in and it doesn't fit, they'll have to
They'll
figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
Because as we were walking out, I was like, I don't remember which one was which.
Lynn is really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was great, and you know, Alan was like, because I was very cryptic with him on the phone, I just don't want to tell. He's like, do I need to come up there? I'm like, no,
That sounds
no,
like
no.
Alan.
He said everything's fine.
That's a good
I was
invitation.
like, she's all right. He's like, okay. So.
But you told him that Danny was
I told Lynn more than I told him,
okay.
just because it was on the phone. So I'm sure when Lynn left here, she called. So.
Am I just gonna be here for like hours?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they're just quite honestly waiting on the phone. Remember how we told you they put it on the machine?
Yeah, that he had to.
Right, to
yeah,
do the phone, and it just takes,
forever.
depending what's on there,
Yeah.
as far as if you have lots of pictures of kids or, you know, it takes some time to do that.
Yeah.
And then they actually brought your van back here, and I got the car seats out of that, and I think they were finishing up. So I think
I'm
that's
gonna
all
need
they're
the
waiting.
police help to get the car seats back in.
You may.
I always have them installed here.
Yeah, and you know, on the strap that goes over, we
Yeah.
hooked them. I didn't tighten them as tight as they should be. I was like, here,
You know
can
what?
you see? And she's like, nope, I'm good, because they weren't moving. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a true. That's why my face is so red, because I've been out there doing that. But I'll touch base with Isom. Hopefully it's not.
We wanted to talk to him about a potential lead, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let him know.
We wanted to talk to him about a potential lead. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
But she's a suspect. But, you know, let's talk about a potential lead.
And this is a really good point by Observation Station. What the heck is so funny, Wendi? Not the occasion for laughing and smiling unless you think you won. Yet I can relate, as most of us can only relate to things that we've gone through. Unfortunately, I was informed that my loved one was killed in an accident skiing. Okay, this was a young person. It was, you know, about a dozen years ago. I was unable to function or carry on with normal conversations, petty, you know, like superficial kind of conversations, like how are you or whatever, for weeks. Okay, you just don't do that as observation. Most people don't do that. Now, it may or may not mean she's guilty. This is who she is. Okay, we don't know. But it surely doesn't seem like somebody who is distraught or is surprised. Because when you get news like that you're not expecting, I thought I was being contacted because this person's father was elderly and sickly. And I could not believe what I was hearing. So there's that shock and grief. So yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, the amount of grief stages, if she was totally grieving, truly grieving, we don't run through grief stages like that. We can go back and forth with some of them, but this is such a good point, Observation Station, and thanks for being here. David says she always has the car seats installed at the police station. That's so funny. Okay, yeah. And Ope, I hope I'm pronouncing your name. It's a beautiful name. She's quite composed or relaxed for someone whose father of her children has just been shot.
Yeah.
Seems like it to me too. Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's a lot of running around and
I want to talk to my parents again.
And I told him that, and he said it should be relatively soon that you get your phone back. I don't know.
Why not use someone else's phone?
I don't. Yeah, because you know the number. Let me go ask again. Just be like, can she just call?
Yeah. Do you have a phone, right?
Cell phone.
If I could borrow it, though.
I couldn't quite hear what they were saying. Something about getting the now Jane mentioned calling her parents, but now Jane has been kicked out in Jane's word. So I think she liked the idea of calling her parents. Right.
Yeah, and then she said, well, when you get your phone back, and then she asked the social worker, well, you have a phone, don't you? Why can't I just use yours to call her parents?
Is that what she just said? I was having a hard time hearing that. Yeah. So now we're waiting to see. Thank you, observation. You know, a lot of true behavior analysts, unlike me, we're just two people who find this interesting. They're not going to go into the weeds like this. I mean, who has time to do hours and hours and hours of coverage on this? I thought it would be interesting for me. I am just tickled pink that it's interesting for others. And again, I've been doing shorts. I'm still working on short. I have enough shorts through the end of the year just from our first episode.
Oh,
so I was thinking about this last night. So I will be doing shorts from these episodes, from this 5-hour interrogation for months to come. So there's lots here, and maybe trials will happen. Maybe we'll have information then. So it should be kind of interesting how that all works out. I wasn't sure how it would work out, but I'm just kind of doing what I think is interesting, and I'm glad that you do too. I'm gonna speed up the playback. Sorry about this while she's alone. Oh, you're watching the shorts, observation? Yeah, I think they're kind of fun. I think they're kind of fun. I'm glad that YouTube has that feature. It's like TikTok, but only on YouTube.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
What do you think is going through her head right now? Because,
Right.
you know, sitting alone is torture. So, like.
Yeah, she mentioned that. Sitting alone was just.
How you doing?
He says, how you doing? Oh. She's like smiling and shaking her head no. So, okay.
How are you doing?
I feel like my head's about to explode.
I'm about the same.
Okay. I need to find out.
No news as far as I know.
This number here.
As of yet.
6,800.
That's Dandy's number. Wait, 6,800. 202.
8,200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same here. I'm just going through. These are phone calls that you made.
Yeah.
Charlie's your brother?
Yeah. I didn't call any like weird sex hotlines or anything this morning.
That's okay. We've seen that
Really
before.
embarrassing.
That's all right. You checked your voicemail, I guess?
Oh.
Or no, you
Why would
checked.
it be a 305 number?
I don't know.
Um,
Your number.
It's interesting she said that. Her family has a very weird sense of humor, but evidently they did find teacher student porn on her and she is an instructor on her computer.
Oh, man.
Isn't that you?
yeah, that's me.
Okay, called this
Thank
number.
you.
Okay. That says voicemail.
Right.
It is
Okay.
I
profound.
don't know what that means, but I'm just basically going over this with you to see if you can clear up anything. And of course, this is Charlie, your brother. Your brother. Michelle Turner.
A friend of mine who lives in Colorado. Renee. Renee's the one that used to be the victim advocate. Renee is a very close friend of mine that is interviewing at FSU today for a position and leaving at 7:30. And if there was ever a woman I would really like to get a hug from, it's Renee, but I don't want to bother her on her.
Yeah, nobody asked.
Rita,
Nobody
Henry?
asked.
That's the mother of my friend Tova Nugget. So it must be like a family plan under her mom's name for some reason. But
So you called the
my
friend,
friend Tova was returning her message.
TOBA?
Tova, Tova.
Okay. Emily Benfer?
I didn't talk to her. I sent her a text.
Okay, I see it.
Just sent her I just sent her a gift for her baby, and she was texting me to thank me.
I'm so normal. I'm so nice.
We're gonna talk about Jeff here in a minute.
Yeah.
How does she
Yeah.
know all those little details?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't call her. I texted her.
We're gonna call.
If you-
We're gonna talk about Jeff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first time she. Again, pay attention to when she's nodding up and down and when she's nodding back and forth. Sorry, I interrupted you. What did you say?
No, that's okay. Like, if somebody was going through my phone and like looking and being like, oh, that's so and so or that's so and so, like, I wouldn't know who I texted versus who I called. That's so
Yeah,
just
every
all
little
those
every
details.
yeah, all the details. So many details she's aware of, which kind of gives the impression she might have planned
But-
for this, but what do I know, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. David reminds us, and again, Katy doesn't know. A lot of us are really familiar with a lot of these details that came out later, but Katy, David points out that she did get kissed by her student in her office. She made sure to let Jeffrey know about that. Wonder why Jeffrey's so jealous. Wonder why. Might there be a reason or basis?
Was she cheating on him?
Evidently, yes.
Okay.
And he speaks about that. We'll find out from him. So Opie says, I am obsessed with this case and will be very glad even if at least one of her family members goes to prison for life for this despicable act. Well, they're definitely suspects. They've been named. Conspirators. I hear clicking. Is that me?
Oh, that was me. My
Okay,
bad.
sorry. No,
My
you're okay.
ADHD is-
I keep looking at the. And do you all think the cops knew she was faking stuff here? Well, I don't know if they knew, but they certainly had some information, such as that she was at the crime scene. She drove up. I believe one of the police officers, possibly Detective Isom himself, saw her. That came out in one of the trials. Yes, the nodding of the head we have to pay attention to. And Harley says she doesn't think that the student kissed her because you'd be dismissed from law school if that happened, and the student would be. So yeah, maybe just trying to get Jeff jealous, and that seems to be her MO.
The ceiling just fell off.
I know, I was worried about that too. That one's from
Right?
before, but maybe it was some others.
Oh, I really can't. I guess I need to hold on to this in case Danny needs
Just
it.
having.
She's pointing out that one of the tiles is coming
And
off
I
the
took it
ceiling.
down too, so when I get.
Who cares?
Parents,
Somebody's getting
or-
shot.
It would matter to them to have contact with like the local Jewish stuff in town. I bet that's gonna be, I won't answer it, but it's my friend Robin, and I bet she's in the general counsel's office at FSU. I bet she's. I wonder what people have seen by now.
Why would she know who it was
And that's
before
kind
she
of what we're
looked?
trying to get parents notifies, because it's very
Maybe different
difficult to
ringtones for different people?
use sometimes in this field.
I missed Robin. He's called Jimmy Judkins. That's my attorney. Should I call him?
Gee,
That's my
You
attorney for
think?
the divorce case, not like an
I
attorney
would
for
just-
like.
Oh,
And once Investigator Isom finishes talking to you,
that's my attorney. Do you think I should call him? I think he should be in that room with you, girl. What the heck is going on here?
oh man.
Yes, and so we're wondering about the student, whether maybe she actually initiated it. Okay.
You like call whoever you feel comfortable with calling.
Okay. Whoa. Just need to know you're all okay. I don't even know who these people are. Can I listen to the message from Robin just to hear what's like why I need to call Jimmy? She's called a lot of times. God, I wonder what she knows. Try to...
David's very familiar with the details of this case. I love it. You're among friends. Thank you.
Can you write? Oh, she's gonna text me. Never mind. It's weird. So why would Jimmy need to talk to me? He's my lawyer for the divorce case.
Not just divorce, but custody. Is this the lawyer for the? I don't think I recognize that name because Judy, the YouTube lawyer, I actually helped her read some of the documents going back and forth between Dan and Wendi regarding the custody issues with the children in her wanting to move them to Miami. I think that's a different lawyer.
This is Lincoln from last week.
You have very pretty hair. Very serious in that picture.
So cute.
Now she's showing pictures of cute pictures and smiling.
Curious, like what's coming in.
I'm really curious as to what's going
It's
on.
like a whole bunch of nothing. No one's writing me yet. I can get the sale and Victoria's Secret stuff. Government Scott, this thing's coming in.
And here again, we can only draw from our own experiences, but I wasn't checking messages. I wasn't talking to anyone. I certainly wasn't showing them cute pictures of myself or my children when I was dealing with, news of a shocking event. Let's just put it that way.
And so I don't forget because
It's like she's trying to see what kind of attention she's garnered.
what's your phone?
Right. And trying to make herself look normal because clearly this isn't normal. Carrie says she feels like they knew. The police, they were watching her for sure.
Okay,
All right. I was just looking to see.
yeah,
There's a lot of nothing going on. And then
Good point, Harley.
The attorney really wants to talk to me.
okay.
Did you hear about that?
No.
I think it's nothing. It says we
Your
got
attorney for,
our divorce case.
oh, okay,
It says we got a new judge.
oh,
Anyway.
okay.
I
All
think
right,
it's-
let's, I mean,
talk to-
I didn't know earlier, but apparently you got a guy in your life named Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about Jeff.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to hide anything.
No, I know you weren't.
I just didn't think to tell you about him. So he's been my boyfriend. We've been dating since end of October. Jane actually set us up, which is why Jane thought of him first. And Jane
Can I
and
pause for 1 second? I just had a
earlier
thought.
This week we went on a walk together and
Yes.
talked about.
So she has all these details already figured out, and she makes these dumb comments about how her brother was going to hire a hitman, and haha. Why didn't the family just use Jeff right away as a scapegoat? Why wasn't that part of her details from the very beginning?
But what do you think?
I don't know, honestly. What? I really don't know. Like, why? Maybe because they knew it would eventually come back to them because they didn't cover it up enough?
Sorry, could you
I don't
say that
know.
again?
Alexa?
Sorry.
No
Siri,
worries.
dang it.
No worries. No, thank you.
I really don't know why they didn't use that for her right away.
Right. So there is some interesting things that are going to come up about timing. And while she's covering a lot of bases up for the last few hours here, it's like 3.5 hours at this point. This is why I'm wondering about the whole Jane thing. She was brought in to bring the kids to get the kids from school. And then suddenly she wasn't getting the kids from school, and she was in with Wendi. Now, so many things and just broadly speaking, in any conspiracy, whether it's murder or financial or whatever, a lot of details are thought about ahead of time and addressed preemptively, right? The whole thing with Jane bringing up Jeff and just going on and on about how jealous he was is, it seemed a little bit convenient to me.
Okay.
She wasn't even supposed to be in the room with Wendi. And she does seem pretty assertive, right? So maybe she got like, I have to see her type of thing. So was Jeff actually a pawn in this whole thing? The other thing that Jeff will bring out later, and I don't want to get ahead of this because this is about the interrogation, but Jeff does bring out later that he was supposed to leave town for a weekend away about the same time that Dan was shot. And Wendi was very, very clearly confirming those details with him the last time they spoke. And he thought it was kind of odd. Why would she care? She's telling me I want a week off from you and to think about our relationship, but she wanted to know every detail about when he was going to be in town.
Okay.
So Jeff luckily left town early. Otherwise, he probably would have been put in jail. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. So there you go.
Okay. So she probably didn't bring it up because she knew it wouldn't work because he had already left town.
She didn't know.
Is that correct?
She did not know. I'm just thinking it's maybe a little bit of a plant and we want to appear innocent. So, I didn't bring up Jeff, but then all of a sudden, well, we need to talk about Jeff. Like, look how she's changed. Like, it wasn't Jeff. He's out of town.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She was all over this. So
Yeah.
she put out her brothers. But no, he would never do that. My family would never do that.
Right.
But Jeff. Okay. So, yeah. So it may or may not have been kind of planted by conveniently by Jane, or it might have come up without her help. She might have had a backup plan, like, maybe I should mention Jeff. Jeff, I was just thinking Jeff is, so, right. Okay, so to some yes, Harley doesn't understand why she volunteered her brother making the hitman joke. Well, she's always been pretty self-centered. Maybe she doesn't mind throwing her family under the bus. Somebody suggested, well, maybe, she'll get all the inheritance if her mom and brother go to prison. I don't know. Those are just, it's all speculation anyway. But she knew that awful joke was out of there and she wanted to take the air out of that discovery. Yeah. There's a lot of preemptive strikes going on here. And Ope says, so angry with the Adelsons. I can't wait to see Wendi. Okay.
I wasn't really sure I wanted to continue dating him. We had like a fight at the end of June and it was weird. And then I went away for 2 weeks and just got back. And I asked him to just no contact for a week just so I could kind of figure out whether I wanted to be with him or not.
When did you ask him that?
Monday night after yoga. I sent him an email Monday night.
Yours or his?
That slipped off her tongue pretty easily.
I don't know what that means.
It wasn't like, let me think. What day was that? It was like Monday night after yoga. Boom.
Yeah.
I went to a yoga
Who
class.
went to yoga together or?
Like together.
Okay.
Some guys like yoga.
I'm not judging. I'm just asking.
I go to yoga, or
and Jeff goes too.
And he would go with me sometimes.
So Monday night after yoga.
I sent him
this past Monday.
This Monday,
okay.
Yes, July 14th.
Sorry, that was another really weird little slip.
What was that?
Yeah, I go to yoga, or I used to. She was just there on Monday night. So what does that I used to mean?
Right. She's leaving town. Right. Good point. Good point. And then trying to joke around about
Yeah. Men go to yoga too.
Yeah. So is that weird? Yeah.
Oh.
All right. And they're chatting in the live chat. That's
Sent her an
great.
email and said, you know, my heart is really heavy and I'm having trouble figuring out what to do. It'd be a lot easier if I just like didn't have any contact from you for 1 week and then we'll kind of figure out.
Oh, I thought no contact. It sounds like a legal term to me. She didn't say, yeah, we're taking a break. I asked if we could take a break for a week.
Yeah,
Like a normal
right.
person, it's like no contact. Like what? A restraining order? What's going on here?
Go from there. And so I haven't had any contact from him.
Was he amicable to that, or did he?
He didn't respond to it. I said, I'm going to take your silence as acceptance. And
Oh, okay. You were in person telling.
no, I emailed him after yoga. He'd been like, let's go out tomorrow. Let's go out the next day. And I felt I have a hard time saying no. And
Right.
so I didn't say no in person. And then later I wrote him and said, I really just need like a week of silence. To
Love
get some
people
clarity
like
on where
that.
we are.
Okay. So he never responded.
Yeah.
Still has not.
Cowardly.
The only response I had is that I bought some presents for Ben for his birthday when Jeff and I went to Destin one time and he had them at his house. And so he brought them. I came to work and there was a bag of the presents from his house. But I had asked him at yoga, I said, oh, when you get a chance, I'm really going to need you to bring those presents because I don't have the boys this week and I could wrap them. And so he just brought the presents so I could wrap them.
When did he bring them?
It must have been Tuesday morning at some point. I think I got to I'm not in the office like 9 to 5 right now because I just finished teaching and students are out of session. And so I have writing deadlines. So I work sometimes from home or from a coffee shop. And so I rolled into work sometime mid-morning and they were there. So I don't know what time he was there, but I could ask my assistant.
No, that's all right. You're saying you asked him for them
And he brought him.
on the phone, I guess?
When I saw him at yoga on Monday,
Okay.
I had mentioned to him that I wanted to wrap these presents. I had most of the week without the boys, and I was, looking for something to do. I might as well wrap Ben's birthday presents, and so he brought them. He brought them to the office.
So he brought them even after the whole.
I said no
need some
contact,
space.
but yeah.
I said no contact.
Why would you say? What was how long have you been seeing Jeff?
Since the end of September.
Okay, all right. And so since September, you all have been seeing each other exclusively?
In the fall, I was dating someone else too, and the relationship really evolved around February. I post-divorce, so it's kind of slow to like.
So let me just pause this time.
Yep.
Jeff is so jealous. She sends him a email about her kissing a student, and she was dating someone else at the same time. But he's jealous.
Yeah.
But so I jokingly used to call him my special man friend, and around February, he started being more like my boyfriend. He started spending some time with the kids, and they really adore him. And I introduced him as mommy's friend, not as mommy's boyfriend. So they just think of him as Jeffrey, and he plays Star Wars with them. And so he and I would spend time together on the nights or the days I didn't have the boys. And then when I had the boys, he never stayed over, but he would sometimes join us for dinner and play with the kids and then go home. And things actually worked great, and I was very happy. And then we went to Gainesville together. He's a social work professor at FSU, and he was teaching a class at Gainesville. And so I didn't have the boys that weekend. I went with him to work on some writing, and had a great weekend until Saturday.
All the
night.
details.
Went out to dinner, we
All
came
the
home, and
details.
he just was convinced that I'd been cheating on him for months, and had
Oh, I wonder
kept
why.
track of it, and was just absolutely convinced that I was cheating on him. And I kept telling him I wasn't.
Because you're a cheater, maybe?
I felt like not very trusting
Wow.
of me, and it just made me feel really uncomfortable. And after that happened, I wasn't sure that I wanted to be with him anymore.
Yeah, when people call your lies out, it's uncomfortable.
I'm wondering what brought this on, the whole not trusting thing.
I'd been dating someone else in the fall, and so
Oh.
he had asked me, did you see someone else in the fall? Kind of once things were good with us, maybe around April, and I said I did. And
While things were good with us.
about it, and he felt like I don't know, he, you know, was jealous of him, and he was like, I don't want you to see him, and the guy I was dating was leaving town, and so I said, well, I want to, you know, go get coffee with him before I leave town, and he said, like, I really, you know, I don't want you to do that, and
Okay. I probably, if I was going to
Wow.
cheat, it's like, why would you tell him you were having coffee? Just go have coffee with him and cheat. Like, she clearly is telling him these things because he knows he asked her not to do it.
Yeah.
So, gee, I wonder why he might feel jealous.
Oh boy.
an argument about it, and I went and had coffee with him anyway, and he ended up at the same coffee shop at the same time and saw us having
How
coffee
convenient.
and got really angry, but
He ended up at the same coffee shop at the same time?
Yes, Little Miss Details Chatty happened to have the date where he asked her not to have coffee. I'm just going to go
And she
ahead.
ended up doing it anyway. And of course he's going to see if she's going to do it anyway.
That's right. That was
Like,
intentional.
isn't that normal people behavior?
Well, maybe she made sure to have coffee with this guy so he would see her to get her jealous. Maybe, just
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. I mean, gosh, if I were going to do something that somebody didn't want me to do, I probably wouldn't flaunt it.
When was
I
that?
wouldn't tell him
That's
where
just
and
me.
when.
May.
Yeah.
Like mid to late May, maybe.
Okay.
And
But do you think it was a coincidence, or you think he intentionally went
I
to
think
that?
it was a total coincidence. I was only there
She
for
can't
like
be that
30
dumb.
minutes.
She's not that dumb.
Well, okay, so Isom is asking her, do you think it was a coincidence that Jeff showed up,
Yeah.
not the other way around? Like, why did you have coffee where you know your boyfriend has coffee?
Oh.
That's what I'm trying to.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So he had a little twisted here, but he's just trying to talk about her perspective. And she did do a little laugh there. Did you
Yep.
see the laugh? I think it was totally a coincidence. Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it just is a small town.
Okay.
Southbound.
All right.
It's not that
What
small.
kind of car does Jeff drive?
No.
I'm really bad with this. It's silver colored. I think it's a
What
Nissan.
kind of car?
It's very old and very rundown.
Silver Nissan?
Gray, silver.
Okay. You don't know what year or how many doors or anything?
I want to say 2 doors.
2-door?
And I don't know what year.
She knows all the
pretty sure
details
about the
to
two-door.
every little thing.
And
And she can't remember if it's a 2 or 4-door car.
also, she made sure to let them know it was really run down. So again, trying to disparage people at every opportunity, whether
Yeah.
it's
Because
Dan
it's
or
all
Jeff.
about appearance.
Right. Miss, this is why I'm saying showing up for lunch like this, just
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like, yeah,
Is it his car exclusively?
exclusively. He doesn't even have to share it with anyone.
Okay. Does he live alone?
Mm-hmm.
Where does he live?
He lives in an apartment complex. I've actually only been over there once because he was kind of embarrassed.
here we go again.
It's a basement apartment and it's off Park Street. I think it's called Victory Gardens.
Okay.
It's like between Park and Appalachie.
Mm-hmm.
She watches when he
Victory
writes
Garden, you know
things
the name of the
down.
complex?
I thought that's the name of it.
If you can see her eyes, I didn't bring this out earlier, but when she speaks and he's writing things down, she's watching what he writes down.
Okay.
Is Victory Gardens a road?
Victory Garden's a road, yeah.
I thought that was the name of the apartment.
That's all right.
complex.
That's
Is it-
fine.
Is it closer to Park Avenue or is it closer to, or is it halfway down?
It's if you turn left, if you're on Park and you're heading towards downtown, if you turn left, it's on your right.
Okay.
Who are
That's
you?
right, Norla.
I'm sorry, I'm Investigator Cherry. I just got a couple of questions if I can just jump in
Go
real
ahead.
quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, we asked earlier about Danny's passcodes to his phone, his iPad, and all his stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can tell you one that he used to have back in the day.
yeah, let me have that one.
God, it's the only one I can think of though.
It's okay.
I know a passcode used to be Maraglim 1. It was MERAGLIM 1.
I'm sorry, M-E.
E as an elephant, GLIM1. But this is like,
A while ago.
it's wild.
I got that. Well, here's the thing. I got 3 kids, and we've downloaded a lot of games on our phones and our iPad and everything, and the little buggers will try to know the
boogers.
passcode. Now, Danny seemed very involved with his children. I got that sense as soon as I stepped in the house. Is there any chance
Aw.
that the kids
Maybe
may
they
know?
know the iPad code. They might.
All right, when we get a chance, can we just double check and see that? Because that might help us out.
Can I ask them?
I didn't realize that came out here in the interrogation about how Danny had his this was definitely a kid's house, and it's so sweet.
Yeah, that was sweet. That
It
was
comes
very
out-
sweet.
It comes out in the trials too.
Rather than you, I just think.
Oh, no.
No,
I,
you're gonna
I,
be the
no
one to
yeah,
ask.
I want you to ask them.
Absolutely. They know, I don't have an iPad, but my parents do, and they know like, what's the secret code, you know,
Right.
so they would know if Abba had a secret. That's what they call Danny. They call him Abba. They would know if Abba had a secret code, what's the secret code.
Right.
So I can ask them in a way that,
Yeah, and so the iPad and the phone, if they know.
does his
Give
phone have
you
a
the-
passcode? Do you have his phone? Yeah.
Let's get it, here's the kid's date of birth.
I was thinking maybe that, I mean, I don't know, usually people use like dogs. We don't have a dog. He didn't have a dog growing up.
Yeah. Well, the texts are telling me that it was possibly a number. Like mine's a number and not
That's what
necessarily
I
a
would,
word.
yeah, I would think it would be a number.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe birthdays and whatnot.
Yeah, so
The
I,
one son's birthday is July 29, 2009.
Which one's that?
That's-
Benjamin.
That's Ben.
And then the other ones is October 13th, 2013.
No, 2012.
I'm sorry,
2010.
2010.
You were born?
I know.
That's Link.
I was
I
there.
hate
for
when
it.
she laughs.
You were there. Okay. Yeah, mine are 6, 3, and 8 months tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, just let me know.
I mean, who
Okay, so I
smiles?
will- as soon as I see them
In
and
a
it's
situation.
appropriate, I'll ask them
Okay.
and see if I can find out.
Well, he can try the 2 date of birth now.
Oh,
so-
yeah, no, of course. I
Um,
just meant in terms of asking them what's
Right.
Abba's
Yeah,
secret code.
And it may be important to kind of get that out of the way.
I know, I just
Yeah.
meant like I haven't seen my kids
No,
yet.
I
so
understand that. I understand that. And it is.
as soon as I see them and I can be like, does Aunt Lynn have an iPad? You know, does Abba has an iPad? What's his code? I'll ask as soon as I can ask, okay?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
I-
you.
So that's, is that Hebrew, the Abba?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, that's father?
Mhm.
yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Abba is
like
father in
Abuela
Hebrew.
For Spanish is grandmother.
That's true.
Right, Sarah?
It is.
Do you speak Spanish?
No, I probably should, but I don't.
I do.
Okay.
Nobody asked if you speak Spanish.
I
Wendy.
know, right?
Who cares if you speak
The
Spanish?
guy that you were seeing in the fall that Jeff got jealous of,
His
saw
name's Daniel.
Daniel,
Mhm.
Daniel what?
Sack.
Sack?
SACK. He's moved. So he was, he and I actually went to college together, and I randomly found out that he was still in Tallahassee. But he was really eager to leave Tallahassee. He wanted to be in the Northeast. And so.
Law student?
No, he's teaching at the theater department. So we knew each
Everybody's
other in
so
college and then
willing
lost track
to leave
for 12
Tallahassee.
years, and then he ended up getting hired by the theater department here.
But since left,
What were you saying?
I said everybody is so wanting to leave Tallahassee.
Since, yeah, in May, at the
He
end of May,
was.
he moved to Amherst to start a job there.
Connecticut
Massachusetts,
in May.
yeah, end of May, maybe early June, something like that.
Is Amherst a college?
Yeah, but he's at UMass Amherst.
Okay.
Sorry, pause. So again, she knows all these
Community.
little details.
That's right.
Like it's all of them.
Not only knowing them, but in a stressful situation to recall that
Mhm.
readily. It suggests to me, and this is just my opinion, that she may have rehearsed this one time or twice.
Yeah, because I just remember going back to like when she was thinking about like, you know, they asked her her parents were and she's like, oh, it's this day, so they're here and blah 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 blah. And then they asked her about something else and she's like, oh,
Right.
So then she had to stop and think about what day it was, and
which is more normal.
yeah, the
Right.
rehearsed stuff is just comes out.
Right. And the smiling and the giggling during when you know this horrific thing is going on
Yes.
back at the hospital, it just slays me. It's very impressive.
Yes.
It's and very
Yeah.
suggestive.
No, I don't know that I'm gonna eat for a long time.
Okay. Do you
Good
need
thing I
something?
had that
You got water.
last lunch.
And you saw him briefly at the same time you were seeing Jeff?
In the fall, yeah. I had actually never dated two people at once before, but I wasn't exclusive with either one. And
Right.
so I dated them both until until I realized like Daniel just was gonna leave, and I thought Jeff had potential. So
But let's get back to this Saturday.
Despite his
Now,
crappy
this
car and
this
apartment.
past Saturday.
He had
that
potential
he
though.
got mad about.
when he got mad, it was June 28th. It was before I left for Miami with the boys.
Okay.
So yeah, he got really mad.
But what sparked that?
That was what was really sort of surprising is Daniel had been gone. We'd had a month of like really, really great times, very happy month. And we went out to a nice dinner with friends and then got back to the hotel room, and I could just tell he was upset. And so for me, it kind of came out of nowhere.
Was that in Gainesville?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when Jeff wanted to look at your phone or something?
Yeah. Did Jane tell you that?
Yeah.
So he had said that he wouldn't, it wasn't that time, but he had said, you know, I you know, like if
I'm just gonna pause here. Did Jane tell you that? Like,
Yeah, that
she
was weird.
Paying attention to everything. Yes, Jane told him that, but
And did you see how quick it rolled off again? And when did he get upset with you? That was June 28th.
right.
Like,
And just so you know, since you're not familiar with the case, many people are suggesting that maybe this was set up for Jeff to take the fall for this whole thing. There's a lot to this,
yeah.
but I don't want to taint you too
Okay.
much.
Jeff would be over and I was doing something, I would leave my phone out. I have this like old agenda book, I'd leave that out, and basically he said that he like saw that I had called Daniel and he saw it in
Daniel
my phone.
Stack?
Mhm.
Okay, this is also a really important point because she claims that she deletes and throws away all her calendars. But she conveniently left a notebook out that mentioned that she had a date with Daniel so Jeff could see it.
Okay.
Sorry, that's why
Convenient.
I said they're standing and then they're standing.
So
Gotcha.
convenient.
Um,
But I can't imagine why he'd be jealous.
so yeah, so it had really upset me that he had gone through my phone and that he had, I mean, I was just, the whole time I was just kind of crying. I was just really sad. I felt like we had a great relationship and his behavior made me think that I couldn't really be with someone like that. And I didn't really say much other than I was just really like, no, I didn't cheat on you. Like, yes, I saw Daniel in the fall. Like, no, I haven't seen him more than as a friend.
Okay,
since
pause
February.
1 second.
Okay.
How is Jeff able to go through her phone?
Right.
Because we were just talking about Danny having a passcode on his phone.
Right.
I'm going to assume she has one.
Yeah, she went
Number
to going
one.
through the phone. I don't know where that came from.
Because then the other thing is, so she's uncomfortable with him picking up her phone, but she can pick up Jane's phone
Right.
and look through that.
Right. That's why it seems like a setup to me. And she's like, I can't imagine why he would be so upset and that kind of thing. And by the way, as she's saying this, she's putting her fingers over her clavicle area, vital blood supply. So a little protection going on there when she's saying things like that. Okay, everyone, let's just ban this person report. Okay. We sometimes get bots. It happens. Wendi drops people without a second thought when she has no further use for them in her life. That is how it appears. And I can't imagine because I'm so perfect, why they would have done these things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a couple more minutes before we pause for the day. So let's get to 6:30.
Trust me, we can't really do this. So, and then he was, really sad and apologetic and was like, oh my God, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me and I'm gonna lose you. And I never really thought I would be in a police station talking about my relationship.
Well,
I understand that it's potentially relevant.
I never thought I would be in the police station talking about my relationship. Well, you seem pretty prepared for that, but that's
Yes.
just me. And Harley points out, I remember at one point she said she tried to give Jeff her passcodes, and this will come out later, and I think we should probably do Jeff's interviews next.
Yes.
So this was on the 28th of June in Gainesville.
Yeah, so we drove back that Sunday morning, and I cried the
Thank you,
whole
Harley.
way. We drove back to the house, and I told them, like, my parents don't believe that I can drive the boys down to South Florida by myself, so they like to drive up and help me drive down with them. So my parents were coming up that Sunday. So Jeff left. I had a couple of hours. My parents came up, and then Monday morning I went and picked up the kids, and that was the weekend that Amy was visiting, Danny's girlfriend. So that was my first time meeting Amy. So I went to our former house, and I was really, anxious to meet Amy.
I went to our former
and I was
house.
sad about 6:20.
Our house. And again, all the
sad about the whole
details.
thing. And so
She
my
said
dad was like,
former.
well, I'll stand with
Yeah,
you.
but-
So my dad stood next to me on the doorbell, and Amy was perfectly lovely, and I picked up the kids, and they seemed really happy. And
Interestingly, with the parents and then with going to her former house, the hand over the throat.
got in the car and said goodbye.
Okay. That was Monday.
Yeah.
And then
I was in Coral Springs or Miami with my folks, and my brother and my other brother came down. It was my dad's 70th birthday on July 5th. So we had a party for him, and I had Skype contact with Danny and the boys. And so after we left the next
Skype contact.
Not a Skype call.
We Skyped.
Yeah.
Somebody who's making sure there's a electronic record.
day, he flew up to New York and was in New
Maybe.
York that whole time. Danny. So Amy went back in the next day.
He's like,
Danny
who?
went back to join
We're
her.
talking about
And so
Jeff.
he was in New York the whole time.
He's
he was
lost.
I'm lost. I don't understand why.
in time to
Why are
pick
we
up the
talking about
boys
all this?
on that Friday afternoon.
She
We were
can't
talking
stop.
about Jeff
back
being
to
upset,
Jeff
and
after
it's
he
now
come
meeting
back to
Amy.
Tallahassee, and I can't remember which day.
So I had lost my boys.
Right.
So I got back to
So
Tallahassee.
maybe that's really more important. You don't just bring things up because they're not important.
My parents came with us, and then Saturday morning I took my folks to get the rental car. They left, and I had a
Again
cold,
with the
and
folks.
I wasn't feeling well, so I kind of just was in my house all day Saturday. Sunday, Jeff and I made plans to go see. So Sunday the 12th.
Look at your phone.
Yeah, Sunday the 13th.
You hadn't seen him since you drove back on the 29th.
That's right. So July 13th, I saw him. We went to a movie and then got some dinner, and we're talking, and it was confusing because I missed him, and it was nice to be with him, but I also felt kind of like uncertain given his behavior in Gainesville. I have kids. I feel really protective of, if someone.
And that'll be the 13th.
The 13th is when I went out with him.
Okay. That's a Monday.
No, it was a Sunday. And then the 14th was the night I went to yoga, and he came and seemed to want to go out a lot the rest of the week, and I just knew I needed some
Okay, sorry,
headspace
pause.
to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
I got lost in a lot of that, but there was a lot of stuff that I'm like, I don't know where all this is going. But why did she just say I went to yoga and he came? Because earlier it was we went to yoga.
Right.
Okay.
I really am so interested in Jane's perspective on this because I wonder if she'll be called to testify if ever Wendi is when she's goes from unnamed to named. Let's put it that way. Conspirator. And welcome, Robert. She's very comfortable being deceitful as if it was a way of life. Yeah, one would think, perhaps. Yep. But what do we know, right? We're potential jurors is what we are.
Okay, the 13th you went out with Jeff, went to a movie. The 14th you went to yoga. He went to yoga.
Yeah.
But no discussion. Oh no, you email him later.
And say I'd like a week off.
So I
I'm
also think
sure,
it's
and I don't know,
interesting
like, you can find it on my
sorry.
phone. It'll be.
that the timing, right? So it was June 28th that they had their big fight, but it's not until July 14th that she says, I need a break. And then Danny gets shot July 18th.
Right.
She's upset June 28th. So this is weeks ago.
Right.
But everything was fine until all of a sudden this week is when I need the break.
That's right. And Jeff, in his interview, elaborates on that a little bit too. So that's a really good
Okay.
observation you just made. Yep, for sure.
In my email track of what I sent. And
Okay, so it's 6:31 and 45 seconds p.m. Tallahassee time, July 18th, 2014. So maybe this is a good stopping point for today.
Yep.
We've covered an awful lot today. There's a lot going on. And so she, the whole interview again is over 5 hours, 5 hours and 5 minutes. So let's see what the comments are going to show us. Norla says, a normal reaction would be horror, fear, and lots of questions. Yeah, she's moved on to Danny was shot in the head, which she wasn't informed of. She knew somehow he was shot in the head. I wonder how she knew that.
Mhm.
Wonder why she's so unkempt looking. She might have had a really busy morning because the June murder trip didn't happen. Jeff had to be strung along until the next attempt. Interesting. An observation station. The more I listen, I am now completely convinced she rehearsed all this and is following a script. Shocked people do not act so prepared and composed, or laugh or giggle or flatter other people and tell them they look like their sister, or many, many, many of these things. So, oh man, we appreciate you all so much because sometimes we think something and it really helps to know that other people are seeing the same thing.
Yes.
Do I just know this because in hindsight, she's been named, but yeah, there's just so much here. And the whole Jeffrey thing comes off as super innocent. Oh, Jane brought it up, right? Well, that was convenient. Now Jane brought it up because Wendi made sure to let everyone know that Danny was terrible and hurting her so much. So Jane thought he might have assaulted her, and that's why that's why the police were there. That's what Jane thought. So why would you think that? Because Wendi set her up to think that.
Yes.
Why would Jane think that Jeffrey was such a jealous guy? Well, because Wendi made sure she thought that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Norla, a normal reaction would be horror, fear, and lots of questions. And she says she had to look unprepared. Yes. But she also might have been a little stressed out that morning to make sure that everything was going the way it should. And she was crossing off, because no matter how much you prepare for this kind of thing, you're still going to be, there's always going to be things that you didn't expect that came up or didn't. And then also you're going to be stressed about it.
Yep.
So Harley was wondering, hey, I'm sorry, I'm reading it and I'm not reading it. Yeah, you can see on the screen, but if you're listening, a lot of people listen and don't watch. Hey, Norla, the stage crying, and oh my God, when the detective revealed that Dan had been killed, she, he wonders if she even produced tears.
Mm-hmm.
And she covers her face a lot, so we don't know. But
well, based on all those tissues sitting there, she probably had some tears.
Well, she was blowing her nose a lot. And if you hyperventilate and stuff, you might have, it will, your sinuses and everything get involved with that physical reaction of hyperventilating. So you're depriving yourself of oxygen when you're doing that. So yeah, you could get a stuffy nose real easily. I imagine she seems to me like the type of person who can produce tears on a dime. I can't do that, but
No.
some of this practice might just be a lifelong of practice too that we're seeing. We're not seeing everything, I'm sure, but yeah. So glad you appreciate our points. We've got so many comments during the week that Katie hasn't seen, but people are really, really, really enjoying this, and happy that we're bringing out some of these points that it's easy to miss. And if I didn't go through this slowly, I would miss a lot of it. Like sometimes, Katie, you're bringing things up that I forgot about or didn't see or didn't hear, because it's not that easy to hear this as well. So all right, so it's 6:31. It's so sad to me because knowing this, like, I have a tendency to like put myself in the situation, right? And just like right now, Dan is still alive and he's in the hospital, and his family, I don't think they've been informed yet. It's getting close to when they've been when they're getting informed. Just the amount of awfulness that produces emotionally for me, and just imagining what they were going through when they had to hear that, and what he was going through, and all the questions. I mean, it hurts. It's just sickening, it's just horrifying. And to think somebody could do this to another individual, whether she was involved or not, I have to say that. Required to say that, because I don't know. I don't have that. That's just my opinion. It seems like this and it seems like that. Carrie B, thank you. Loving the breakdown. You're very welcome. We're happy to do it. We're enjoying it, aren't we, Katie?
Yes.
It's
much.
We didn't know. Like, this is just something I've never done this before. So we're just doing it. Carrie B, it looks like you have a little kitty cat. Is that your kitty cat in your profile picture? She looks like my kitten. Little tabby cat. If you're on the community pages, you've probably seen a couple pictures of my kitty.
I think still the biggest piece of injustice for me, and I think Ope said it earlier when he was just hates Wendi. I think the biggest injustice for me is that she's still the one raising those boys.
Oh,
that's the part that just gets me the most, is that it's her and her mom are still raising those boys, even though they're named conspirators, and they're not allowing the grandparents, Dan's family, to have any contact. It's just so heartbreaking.
That is sickening. So, and Ruth Markel talks about how, they're grieving two things: the loss of their grandchildren. It is such an insult, and families do terrible things to people, friends, and family, other family members when there's a death. It's just inexcusable. But this has gone on now for over 8 years, and she's conveniently allowed them to see the kids in supervised kind of situations when it's convenient, because she has to go testify, and then she can say, well, they just saw her. They just saw the kids. It's really awful like that. And that's got to hurt even worse. All this re-injury. So I'm sure they're going to be really happy to get true justice and get answers to why this is all going on. That does not seem like someone who isn't, like, I guess they're afraid of what the kids might say or what the grandparents might say to the kids. And they're not like that. They're not like that. They wouldn't be like, what she did to no, but that's what they would do.
Yeah, so that's what they've been doing.
That's what they have been doing. Right. And so it's so heartbreaking. And I cannot wait until the day when they can see their grandchildren anytime they want.
Right.
Anytime they want.
Yeah.
So Norla asks whether she was inquiring whether Dan's family had been notifying, and someone else asked that earlier. If you go through the previous playlist, this is episode 8, and I know you might not have time to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and answer. No, she doesn't. And when it's brought up, the last time it was even brought up, she said, well, shouldn't we wait until it's definitive, meaning until he's dead, to tell the parents? She's also said many times up until this point, and you definitely will pick up on a lot in the previous episodes that we've done, that they're going to think she did it.
Yep.
So she's afraid of them finding out, probably wants to get out of town before the police hear about what they do know. And we don't know what they know, what they've heard, but maybe nothing, but we don't know what they've heard. So yeah, this is another good point. Norla says that the Adelsons don't want to face the parents of the man that they had killed, if that's true. Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons why it would be in their perceived disadvantageous to have the children see the Markels. It's just so sad. And the way they were treated at Dan's the memorial, the little luncheon that they had afterward, was just, they wouldn't speak to them. They promised they could see the kids the next day, and then boom, they were gone. They were in Miami already. And so the police couldn't speak with them. The lawyer called and said, no, you're not going to speak to her anymore. So yeah. Oh, it's so sad. It breaks my heart. It really does.
Yeah.
It's really heartbreaking. Well, any more questions? Anything you want us to talk about for this segment before we go today? We'll be back again Monday. Of course, I'll come up live and try to get Katy on if there's any news in between. But right now, the next thing happening overall in this case is December 16th is scheduled for Charlie Adelson to have a case management hearing with the judge. Normally, those have been broadcast live. All the trial has, all the proceedings have. Someone suggested to me that this wasn't going to be. I don't have any reason to believe that's not true, but we'll find out. And I do believe, I can't remember what Judy, the YouTube lawyer, is doing, if she's broadcasting or live streaming that, but I'll let you know if you're paying attention in the community pages and that kind of thing. I'll update you to who's doing what, if it's mentor lawyer, if it's Judy, who's going to be there in person. But a lot can happen, and there might be more delays, which is what I expect. And I don't expect we're going to know that much about Catherine Magbanua until she either appears as a witness or it comes out in the discovery prior to the trial as to anything she might say. Maybe she'll even, I don't know if they'll bring her in personally for that case management hearing, but we don't know. We could find out that she's been sent back to prison, meaning there is no deal. So we might get wind of a transport documentation if she goes back to prison, or if she's staying in the local jail. So there's a lot that can happen that we're watching for. I have my alerts on, and certainly following mentor lawyer which is the broadcast that I'm offering with this interrogation breakdown with his permission. He's the one who published this in the first place years ago, or quite a while back. So, and then Judy, the YouTube lawyer, is all over this. So yeah, it's exciting in the fact that we might be seeing steps toward more complete justice in this case. Yeah. Yep. So Harley says he thinks Donna has the kids and Wendi is out monkey branching from it to find a sugar daddy in Miami.
Oh.
An educated Casey Anthony. By the way, speaking of Casey Anthony, has anyone watched that docuseries? I kind of glanced at a little bit of it, and the reason I did is because the behavior panel was breaking some things down from that. And I was noticing some traits that Casey Anthony had similar to Lori Vallow Daybell.
Oh boy.
So if you're listening and you're paying attention to either of those cases, let me know if you're seeing any similarities between those two and what they are. I'm releasing shorts every day. You can go on the community page. But that's kind of interesting. And Katy and I are very interested in the Alec Murdaugh plethora of cases. What are they, like 8 cases?
Yeah.
So much
Oh.
going on with that financial
Yeah.
breaking the law in so many different ways, including now, unfortunately, his wife, soon to be ex-wife, I believe, and son are now dead. So
Yeah.
a lot going on. I'm just, that one has so many different branches. Anything new on that today or over the weekend?
No, well, he was supposed to be in court for a bond hearing, and that got canceled. It got delayed until Wednesday.
Okay.
So 2 days.
All right.
There might be more.
I think right now the only thing we could look at or listen to is the 911 call. I don't think anything else has been released yet. I think there might have been some police interviews regarding Paul Murdaugh's boat crash.
The boat crash.
Yeah. So we could take a look at those if you would like. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, everyone, thank you again for watching, for following, subscribing, and sharing, and doing all of those things, because that really helps me out. And I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. That's my next, that's our next milestone. So if you can help in that way and you like what you're seeing, let everyone know. And I appreciate you. And thanks for being here, because you all make this super interesting to me, to Katy. And Katy, thank you again for your time in doing this with me. I love it. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. And you know what? Go take care of that cold, okay?
Ugh. All right.
Yeah, you don't
See you
sound
guys
bad
next
at all,
week.
but yeah.
Okay, good.
Take care and feel better. That's the most important thing.
Yes.